Hello again, I'm Arba Kumsin. He vowed not to give up even when he was thrown out of the race and continued to campaign despite suggestions by some that he should hang up his gloves. But today, Friday, October 28, flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, was vindicated by an Accra High Court which nullified his disqualification from the December 7th presidential race. Presiding Judge George Bafor upheld his argument that the Electoral Commission did not afford him a nomination period within which mistakes on their forms could be corrected, but only set a nomination day and ruled that they help correct those mistakes. Let's go back now to how it all began with the EC chairperson, Charlotte Osei, announcing the PPP leader's disqualification on October 10 after one of the party subscribers, Richard Asida, endorsed the forms in 2 different districts.
So following the receipt of forms last week and payment of fees, we are now in a position to announce to the public the candidates who met the criteria and the candidates who did not. Dr. Papakwesi Indum of the Progressive People's Party. The Commission is unable to accept Dr. Indum's nomination because, again, the number of subscribers to his forms did not meet the requirements of Regulation 7.2 of CI 94. The details are as follows. 1 subscriber, Mr. Richard Asida, with voter ID number 781-200-3957, endorsed Dr. Indum's forms in the Central Region, and again endorsed the same forms with the same ID number in the Volta region.
Well, Dr. Indum protested the disqualification on the grounds that the EC did not offer them adequate time to correct the errors, urging the Commission to withdraw the decision or prepare for a legal suit. While following the Commission's refusal to revoke its decision, the PPP sued it. On Tuesday, lawyers for both the PPP and the EC put forward their arguments in court amidst heated exchanges, with the PPP's lawyers threatening to go to the Supreme Court if their case is not upheld.
The right of the courts to direct administrative bodies the way they should act is, if you like, codified in Article 23, that if you fail to act fairly in the way you are supposed to act as an administrative body, then the court can direct you, because all it says is that the persons aggrieved thereby can come to court. So you heard the court saying, are you saying that he cannot come by way of certiorari, a power given to the court under Article 141? 23. You understand? And 23 combined. So it's not a big deal. You know, the petition doesn't make sense, one bit of sense to me. An election petition is after you've gone through elections and you are not satisfied. Then you go to court and the procedure is file a petition. I am saying you have breached your rules. You've not given me the hearing. So I'm coming by way of certiorari to have it quashed. And you say I should go and file a petition. How? I mean, it's going wrongly. It's wrong. That was what the law provided. Is that what the law? You tell me, you said that you made it clear. So is that what the law provided? The law provides that when I present my forms, look through. If you find anything wrong, give me an opportunity to correct. If I fail to correct, then you do the endorsement, give it to the EC, and within 7 days, let the EC take a decision.
So that was a lawyer for PPP, Ni Ayikwe Otu there, and this was last Tuesday, and he was criticizing the procedure being argued by the PPP's, the EC, I beg your pardon's, lawyers. Now the case was adjourned to today, Friday, October 28, for ruling on the matter, and it culminated in a victory for the PPP flag bearer after the court decided the EC did not act fairly in his case. After the hearing, Dr. Indum, who was mobbed by a huge crowd of PPP supporters, described the ruling as a great moment for democracy.
It's important for our democracy. It is important for our development. It is important for our freedoms, particularly our human rights. And I believe that it is those rights that have been restored by the courts today. And I'm very grateful, I'm very thankful to the judge for understanding the legal arguments that our lawyers have made. I'm happy for the Progressive People's Party and all of our supporters, and especially for the prayers that they have offered on my behalf. I thank everybody. We will have an opportunity later to talk extensively. For now, I'm just thankful, I'm just grateful.
So PPP flag bearer Dr. Indum there, obviously very excited about his victory in court. Well, speaking of lawsuits, the People's National Convention has also filed a writ against the Electoral Commission over the disqualification of its presidential candidate, Dr. Edward Mahama, essentially seeking what the PPP's Dr. Indum also asked of the court, the opportunity to have their candidate reinstated on the ballot paper. The party insists their candidate was unjustly disqualified and accuses the EC of not fulfilling the requirements to disqualify Dr. Edward Mahama. General Secretary of the party, Atiq Mohammed, says the party will face the EC in court next Tuesday.
The PNC has sued the Electoral Commission, and this, I must say, is subsequent to the Electoral Commission's failure to respond to the party's letter to it, and also 3 days after the party officially wrote to them following the disqualification of our candidate. Our lawyers also wrote to them, indicating, among other things, the need to rescind their decision and to bring back our candidate onto the ballot. Unfortunately, both letters have not been responded to. And indeed, our lawyers indicated in their letter to the Electoral Commission that if they have to respond to the letter, that letter they sent to them would have constituted notice for suit. So it is based on the refusal or the inability of the Electoral Commission to respond to these letters that occasioned this suit. And I wish also that on Tuesday, God willing, next week, our lawyers will be heading to court to move a motion for a period of time so that they can get the Electoral Commission to respond to the writ they have filed. So as we speak, this is the situation, or this is the level at which we have got to. And we are hoping that once the court grants the abridgment of time, the real case will then commence. But it is our hope that the court will grant this release. In any case, we are not just going to court on this leg alone. We are going there to vindicate his human rights. And again, we are also asking for some judicial review. So there are 2 different fronts from which we are tackling this issue of disqualification.
Let's head to the campaign trail now, and we start off from the eastern region, where President Mahama has been courting votes from residents in various parts of the region. Officials of the governing NDC in that region have vowed to capture half of the seats in the region, which is predominantly a stronghold of the opposition MPP, which has 26 seats. Earlier, the president called on the Ochehene at Chebi and later told supporters that his government was committed to fixing dilapidated roads there, as well as constructing new ones. Listen.
This is a town with many people and a lot of economic activities go on here. However, when the road around the bypass was closed, this very road became the main road for every car going towards Kumasi from Accra, and this destroyed the roads. Some time ago, after a long time visiting this place, we came for a funeral at Ofoipenyin, and as we plied the road, I asked myself if the government had forgotten about the fact that there was a road here. We had completely forgotten about the people of Chebi. I told myself that with God's help, we will fix the roads as it should be.
And I'm saying, Yamima to me, not Yamima and Repa. The best I say, send a sepata.
Well, we were expected to speak to our correspondent Kofi Sian for an update on the president's tour, but unfortunately we cannot reach him. So let's head to the Volta region now, and the NDC's stronghold of the Volta region is quite heated as the MPP flag bearer campaigns there. It has been the focus of the MPP flag bearers campaign over the last few days, and the party is seeking to boost their electoral fortunes there. Well, today, Nene Akufo-Addo has been interacting with the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. Its president, Togbe Afede, was unhappy about the tendency by some politicians to take for granted the region for granted, saying that political parties must actually work hard for the votes of all Voltarians. We can take a listen to him.
The Volta region is like a very beautiful bride who is waiting for the best suitor. In other words, Volta region is not like a loyal housewife whose husband will only come home when he's hungry. There is so much to do. We don't have work, unemployment. I believe we can turn our fortunes around. The turning our fortunes around will require that we do things differently. The same approach, the same solutions applied consistently will not yield different results. We can do it if we can establish a bold vision based on our strengths. Snail-based development will not take us out of the woods. We can do it if we take our plans very seriously and commit to the deadlines that we have established for ourselves. Our projects typically take too long to complete. We can do it if we show a genuine commitment to the private sector. And if we allow everybody, all and sundry, to be part of the development process. We can do it if we work very hard, take our work seriously, so our productivity can go up. We can do it if we eschew selflessness and show more love for our country and for our fellow citizens. So together we can build our country. Thank you. We can do it if we show empathy and understanding to one another and live as one people. And we can do it if we enforce the rule of law and ensure that we all are equal before the law. It will require a change in attitudes while we traditional leaders are trying to
So that is Togbe Afede. He is the Volta Regional House of Chiefs president. Well, the MPP flag bearer has also been addressing the chiefs, and we'll hear him in a while. But let's get on the lines and speak to Ivy Setoji, who is following the MPP flag bearer. Ivy, what issues have come up as the MPP leader addressed the Volta Regional House of Chiefs?
Well, he spoke to them about the Green Book of the NDC. According to him, the president accused him of sleeping on the way to the eastern region, so he couldn't see what was happening on the road. And so he said on the eastern corridor road, he was wide awake and he realized that nothing is being done on the road. As they say, that the work on that road is progressing. It is not. It is a lie by the government. And so he's asking the chief and the people of the Volta region to rally behind the MPP so that all their problems, all the governmental work that they need, they've always wanted, can be done by the MPP. They said the MPP is a listening government, and they will do everything possible to make sure that the needs of the Voltarians or the needs of the people of the Volta region is addressed.
And Ivy, you had the rare opportunity of interviewing the MPP flag bearer. What has he been telling you?
Well, he told me that it was great being in the Volta region. It was overwhelming, being received by the Voltarians. The kind of reception he had right from the one that from Bando was amazing. He was so happy, and he is only praying that this welcome of reception turns into vote, and that he believes that this time around, people of the Volta region are changing their minds. They know what is good for them, and they know where they want to go, and that change is NPP.
I think it's a general sign of the rejection, if I may put it that way, of the current administration and the way it is handling the matter. After all, I'm the opposition leader. So when you see people coming out in such great numbers with so much enthusiasm, it's a clear sign that they are not happy with the present situation. So that's how I see it. I mean, for me, victory. I mean, clearly it's a sign that some fundamental changes are taking place in the attitudes. Because as you know, this is not an area where we have ever enjoyed the northern part, which we have been, yes, more than in the south. But even there's never been enough to sort of win us seats, etc. But today, it looks as if many of the seats up there, we are going to be competitive.
So that was MPP flag bearer Nane Kufuado in that interview with correspondent Ivy Setoji. Now it's time for voting school, and just before voting on election day, the presiding officer at your polling station is expected to perform some 3 important exercises the law says would be proof that the ballot boxes at the stations are empty before voting begins. Fifi Kumsin tells us more in today's edition of our Voters Education segment, The Voter School.
The law wants to prevent a situation where the poll begins with stuffed ballot boxes. So, in the Public Election Regulation CI 94, the presiding officer is expected to immediately before the commencement of the poll show the transparent ballot boxes to the persons present at the polling station so that they can verify that the ballot boxes are empty. The presiding officer is also expected to close the ballot boxes and place a seal on them in a manner to prevent the boxes from being opened without breaking the seal. The last thing, the officer must place the ballot boxes in the full view of the public for the receipt of ballot papers. After this, the polling agents may affix their seals on the ballot boxes after the seals of the commission have been affixed.
Now, the U.S. elections are now just 10 days away, but Joy News editor and head of our political desk here, Evans Mensah, reports from Washington, D.C., the tensions are so high that many journalists covering the elections have begun taking precautions as talk of a potential rigged elections gain a foothold.
It might seem calm right now, but don't be fooled by the facade. There is a real battle going on right now, a battle that will determine who occupies the House behind me for the next 4 years. The battle for the White House this year has been pretty unusual, historic even. Whatever happens on November 8th, history will be made. Either we have the first female American president or the first true political outsider. But this year's election is also one posing the greatest challenge to this 240-year-old democracy. There are talks of a rigged election, fear of post-election violence, and we have already seen some violence in the torching and firebombing of the North Carolina Republican offices. It is not surprising, therefore, that for some international journalists covering this year's elections, they are already taking precautions. Those views are echoed by officials of the U.S. State Department. Media Relations Officer Maxima told us yesterday the U.S. is hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. Because of the potential for post-election violence, there is a lot troubling about the electoral system here too. To empower Donald Trump supporters, the fact that there are 1.8 million dead people on the U.S. voters register and that 2.7 million people have registered to vote in more than one state. These are two reasons empowering and galvanizing his base. Ghana is familiar with both, but has at least taken steps to fix the problem. Whatever happens after these U.S. elections, one thing is certain. The White House behind me will never be the same. Evans Mensah, for your election headquarters, Washington, D.C., the White House.
And here in Accra, I am Araba Crimson, and this is the station to stay tuned in for all the updates on the campaigning in Ghana, as well as the campaign towards the U.S. election on November 8th. Evans Mensah will be bringing us updates from next week as we touch base with him. But that's how we wrap up the show. Francis Alban is up next with the Pulse. Thanks for joining us throughout the week. I'm Araba Crimson.